What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to another video at Axe Entertainment. I am your host, Zack Axe, bringing another edition of WWE Weekly Awards. This one is for 11/10 to 11/14. Now, you may be able to realize by looking around that I told you guys in the last one I am moving. I was being for real. As you can tell here, stuff's getting boxed up and everything, so we're not in the regular spot. The regular spot is actually right back there with the Funko Pops that used to be on that shelf. Yeah, so this is going to be one of the last videos I'm able to record here in this center, and center this house. But let's get right into the weekly awards. This was a crazy week of wrestling. Real quick, also, I'm a little nasally and I've had a sore throat, so that's why I haven't been uploading as many TikToks or videos. And we've been moving, of course, so like it's a lot at once to try to get videos out too, but I'm definitely going to still get weekly awards out for you guys. Okay, let's start with the award that everybody came to see, and that is Male MVP. Honorable mention for Male MVP is going to go to Jasper Troy, who had a chance of winning this award because he did win the Speed Championship on NXT away from El Grande Americano. But who else was going to win this award but the never before seen 17 Grand Slam champion John frickin' Cena. Now, at this point, we all just thought John Cena was going to retire and never have being Intercontinental Champion or never being a Grand Slam Champion. But he made it happen on Monday Night Raw. He put on a match with Dominic Mysterio, challenger for the IC title. Triple H made it official, and it's kind of a bittersweet moment for me because on one hand, yeah, John Cena's earned it, and he definitely deserves to be Grand Slam Champion. But on the other hand, I always thought it was cool that there was this exclusive list. It felt exclusive, right? Even though Triple H was on it, even though Shawn Michaels was on it, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, some of the best of all time, it was still cool to have this little list over here that does not feature the greatest of all time. Grand Slam Champion John Cena was never a thing, and the greatest of all time in wrestling was staying away from this list. It's really cool in that aspect to have awards that can go to people like Kofi Kingston or a Finn Balor or a Kevin Owens, but never go to the greatest of all time John Cena. Like in football, seeing a list that Tom Brady's not on but somebody like Jordan Love, could be on, is really cool. That the greatest of all time is not there, but these other guys that deserve the opportunity is. So it's really cool to see stuff like that. So I was kind of at the same time hoping he was not going to be IC champion, because I thought it'd be really cool to have this exclusive list that the greatest of all time never made it on. But at the end of the day, John Cena is the Intercontinental Champion, and yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. It's going to be kind of rushed IC title reign, of course. But shout out to John Cena on being the Intercontinental Champion. And I pointed out while watching Raw, and some other people pointed out on like Facebook and stuff afterwards, but I thought it'd be really cool if they did to John Cena what John Cena did to Rey Mysterio. What was that, 14 years ago, when Rey Mysterio won his first ever WWE Championship in the first match of the night, and then later on in the main event, he lost the title to John Cena. I thought it'd be really cool if Rey Mysterio, who just came back just like John Cena at the time, John Cena, who just won his first ever time holding that championship, the IC, just like Rey's WWE, beats Dominic Mysterio too, so it would have been even more poetic beating Dominic Mysterio in the opening match. Rey Mysterio challenges him to a match later in the night just like John Cena did to Rey, and he gets an opportunity and takes it from John Cena. That would have been so clever because it would have not only got the title on Cena and then off Cena right away, transferring it to Rey Mysterio, but it also would have then been so poetic and a great storytelling device, especially in John Cena's one of his last appearances. I thought it would have been very cool. I pointed it out as soon as he won the IC title. I said that'd be perfect, and he saw him backstage, and I was like, it's gonna happen, and then it just didn't. And I think that would have been so poetic and a perfect thing to do in this moment. Next one I'm going to give out is a pretty simple one. It's going to be Team of the Week. Honorable mention for Team of the Week is going to go to Fatal Influence, just because all three of them now are fighting for titles come next week or within 2 weeks at Gold Rush. But there was really no competition in this category because we do have a new tag team champion pairing in the form of the Kabuki Warriors, who knocked off We're Not Friends, Flair and Bliss, to pick up the women's tag team championships. Now, I thought Flair and Bliss were going to hold these titles up until the breakup. I thought after they lose it was going to be the breakup, but it looks like that's not going to happen. But the Kabuki Warriors are champions, most likely to drive the War Games feud going forward. I think Kairi Sane and Asuka are both very good wrestlers, very, amazing women's talent. So I'm not mad that they're winning these championships. I just thought it was a weird time to let them win, but they are going to win Team of the Week for winning those titles. Another easier one is Female of the Week, because there wasn't a lot of amazing female matches this week, more storyline driven stuff. But honorable mention for female of the week is going to go to the Kabuki Warriors and Thea Hale. But the winner of this award is going to be Stephanie Vodcare. She picked up a huge title defense against Raquel Rodriguez this week. But the award is going to go to Stephanie Vodcare for picking up a huge win over Raquel Rodriguez. Another Vodcare award this in the last couple weeks. I think she's won like 2 or 3. But she picked up a win over Raquel Rodriguez, and she's kind of been a main event player, not so much right now, but usually is, so I kind of had to give her this award. But then you add in the fact that after the match, after Stephanie Vodcare retained, Nikki Bella turned heel, and Nikki Bella is kind of like the Big Show of the females division, the women's division, and that is just like face, heel, comes back as a face, turns heel before she goes, comes back as a face. You know, it's a repeat, rinse and repeat thing for her and Big Show, turning face and heel. So I thought this was a pretty interesting feud, though. I thought Stephanie and Nikki were going to end up joining the War Games team. I said that, months ago. But it looks like instead we're going to get a feud between these two, and that's very, very interesting, and I'm excited to see this match between one of the, pillars of women's wrestling 10 years ago versus one of the pillars of women's wrestling today. Promo of the week is a fairly easy one. There wasn't too many great promos this week. I'm going to give honorable mention to the Culling and JC James promo down on NXT to start off NXT, but I'm going to give the award to John Cena and Dominic Mysterio's promo on Monday Night Raw. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't what you'd really, it wasn't as good as a John Cena promo usually is, and Dominic Mysterio is really good at drawing heat, especially when he gets to face somebody like John Cena who's parentally cheered. And they had a little great promo. I think my favorite part of the promo was when John Cena just switched. You could see it switch. He said he switched. Dominic Mysterio just coming out to interrupt John Cena, and John Cena just whole demeanor flipped, and he went into the John Cena bury you quick 2010 John Cena. And he didn't really bury Mysterio. He didn't say anything too crazy, but you could still see that little switch right there. It was kind of a cool touch. So they're pretty easily winning this award, even though it wasn't an amazing promo by far, Last one I'm going to give out is Match of the Week. Honorable mentions for Match of the Week is going to go to Elia versus Axiom, Briggs versus Tavion. But I am going to give this award to Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship on NXT. Now, while I thought this match started very slow and looked like it wasn't going to be as good as even Tavion and Briggs earlier in the night, it ended up being a pretty good match, and they used the weapons very well. We saw another move through the freaking little cardboard setup that they keep putting people through, the little wall. We saw a spear through the crowd, through the announce table, off of that little ledge. That was really sick. We saw a lot of big moments with weapons in this match. It was a last man standing match, of course, and it was very, very good. And then 2 things at the end I want to talk about real quick, and that is that this match actually went against the rules of a last man standing, because if you look at the rules of a last man standing, you're not allowed to hit the opponent at all while they're down, or the count will restart. Well, I like the ending of this match, but at the same time, it went against that rule, because the ending was Ricky Saints on a knee, Trick Williams on a knee, both men trying to get to their feet, and Ricky Saints stood up and pushed Trick down, causing the ref to count 10 and, give the title to Ricky still. But if you want to go by technical last man standing rules, when he pushed him down, that should have been restarting the count, because he hit his opponent. And if you cannot hit your opponent in a last man standing match, or the count will restart. So just one of those NXT forgets the rules moments in wrestling, which seems to happen every week. But overall, besides that, I still thought it was a great ending, and I can kind of ignore the rules for that moment, because it was still a very cool moment, how they're both just fighting to get up, and Ricky's just like, and then wins. And then Obafemi comes out afterwards. I was just talking about Obafemi the other day, so it's like he's not just going to debut on the main roster. He's going to be on NXT for a little bit, most likely a feud with Ricky Saints coming up next. Maybe even a triple threat with him, Trick Williams, and Ricky Saints. But Obafemi is so good, so I don't care where he is as long as he's wrestling. I hope he enjoyed his little break, because now he needs to be back to full swing, putting on bangers again. So I'm super excited for Obafemi to be back. But let's go ahead and get into our little discussion period. We got our first big return here on Friday Night Smackdown this week, with LA Knight having a mystery opponent in the Last Time Is Now tournament, and it ended up being Zack Ryder. Now I thought this was really funny, because Zack Ryder, or Matt Cardona, did say that he has tights made that say ZR or MC, just in case he gets called over to wrestling for like a Royal Rumble appearance or whatever, and he did, or wrestling into WWE. And he did. He got called into WWE to be Zack Ryder. Really weird that on NXT he's using the Matt Cardona name, on the main roster he's using Zack Ryder. But I do think this was just a one-off Zack Ryder appearance, because of the fact that it's the John Cena tournament, and John Cena didn't feud with Matt Cardona, or wasn't friends with Matt Cardona. He was friends with Zack Ryder. So I thought it was still pretty poetic. I love LA Knight, but I honestly do wish Zack Ryder would have won this match, just because I think it would have made more sense to have Zack Ryder continue. But I get it, it's a TNA guy, so it makes sense that he was going to come over to lose, and he lost to Zack Ryder, not Matt Cardona, but still very, very excited to see Zack Ryder wrestle in the main roster at least one more time. Well, I was actually saving the Nikki Bella and Vaquer thing for the discussion and the Rey Mysterio IC rant for the discussions, but I already talked about both of those, so the only thing I have left in the discussions is just talk a little bit about War Games. So it looks like Charlotte Flair will no longer be on the War Games team for We're Not Friends, so we have 2 empty slots on there. Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and the Kabuki Warriors on the other side. Really excited to see who fills in those spots. And then we have on the other, and the men's War Game, which it looked like we were going to have the Wyatt Six versus Sammy's team versus the MFTs in the mix for War Games, but instead we're getting a 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match on the Smackdown before, which I think is very fun because I think they need to have more Survivor Series matches like that. I know they kind of replaced it with War Games, but I do miss the 5-on-5 traditional matches because those are always really fun, even if sometimes they eliminate big stars with the simplest of moves because of, you know, the match has to end sometime. But besides all that, I'm really excited that we're still going to get the Sammy versus MFT stuff with no Wyatt Six involved as of right now. Probably during the match they will get, but I'm excited for that. And like I said, in the men's, we have the 2 main champions, Cody and CM Punk, teaming up with the Usos, and then one other teammate to take on the Vision, Logan Paul, and Drew McIntyre, who made his return this week. So super excited for these matches. I can't wait to see who the opponents are. When we get to that, I'll do a predictions post on here, and might start doing predictions on TikTok for a post too. We'll have to see, and then we'll get the R&R afterwards. Hopefully by the time I get to the R&R, I'll be in the new place and it won't be too late for you guys, but stay tuned for that. Leave in the comments if I gave any award to the wrong person. Like the video for me while you're down there. Subscribe, ring the bell if you want to be notified when I drop a video like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I am him, you are not, I am grim, you are lost, heating up, ovens hot, beating up all the frauds. You're a king, I'm a god, y'all got bling, I do not, cause I'm clean, y'all get clawed. On the top, y'all are frauds, at the top of my game, but still I get no fame. That's cause I would never pay for a fan to come my way.
Now at this point in his career, we all just kind of thought John Cena was going to retire and never have, oh my god. But I'm going to get, oh my god, I almost just choked on something. Now at this point, we all just thought John Cena was going to retire and never have Bing enter, oh my. Now at this point, we all just thought John Cena was going to retire and never having, now at this point, we all, now at this point, we all thought John Cena was just going to retire and never have Bing Intercontinental, oh my god. At this point, we just thought John Cena was going to retire and never have Bing, at this point, we all just thought John Cena was going to retire, never being the Intercontinental Champion, never being, 5 minutes in, I haven't even given the first award yet.